my way into the office tonight, is that if we looked at the calendar, this might be a half anniversary. We've been doing this since December. Mostly I thought about it because it's getting warm around here today. And I thought, geez, we started in December, so that makes it a half anniversary, huh? Okay, just wanted to bring that out to everyone. Oh, on a note, Denise had mentioned comments. We do have a comment box. I will be answering your comments because I lack the ability to type, not personally, but technically. So we invite you to make your comments and do all of that thing. Now that leads me into leading you to do the intros.
Oh, I thought you were doing the intros. Well, anyway, you can do them. Go ahead.
I can do the intros.
Yes.
Denise had mentioned a special guest, and we do, in fact, have a special guest, Dottie Nigrelli. She's the broker manager of Randall Realtors' Watch Hill office, and she was gracious enough to accept our invitation to come and join us for maybe not 20 minutes, but maybe 18 minutes here. So let's say hello to Dottie.
Hi, Dottie.
Hello.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, thank you for accepting.
Yeah.
You shouldn't sound surprised because it's a fun thing that we do here. So Denise.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you decided to get into real estate?
All right. Well, I grew up in Charlestown and I've lived in Westerly for probably about 38 years now. So very, very local. Denise, you and I think we went to the same high school. I know we went to the same school. Yes, so we know a lot of Charlestown, Westerly, very, very familiar. I started my real estate career about 22 years ago, and I really just fell into the position. I actually started as an administrator. I don't think too many people knew that.
I didn't.
And no. And I started as an administrator in a Watch Hill office. And I spent half of the 22 years there and then the rest of the time at Randall. Once I was the administrator, I was there for about a year, maybe a year and a half. And once people knew that I was in a real estate office, as you know, people can always talk real estate. So I always got inquiries, tell me about this property, tell me about that property. So within a year and a half, I went for my real estate sales license. And then after that, I went for my broker's license.
So you went right from real estate sales to getting your broker's license. You didn't wait in between.
Yeah. I mean, back then, I'm trying to think, it was only a year or two that you had to wait. You know, I think it's longer. It is longer now, but I think you only had to wait about a year for that.
Yeah, you know, our audience is, we're targeting sellers and buyers out there, but we also draw a certain percentage of agents. And all the agents out there will know the admin is probably the most important person in the real estate office because you control and not sign the checks, but you draw up the checks. So that kind of background is interesting in the mechanics of an office, followed by the actual sales and marketing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I feel like I'm a better broker because of it, because I can see both sides. I know the administrator side, I know the salespeople side, so I know both sides of that and all the workings of the office. So it really has been very helpful.
And it's and we were talking earlier, full disclosure here, that before we went on the air about the idea of the Watch Hill office, how is it different from the Westerly office? Because we serve Westerly and the surrounding area.
And for those of you who don't know, Watch Hill is in Westerly. So technically, Randall Realtors does have two offices in the town of Westerly, which is very unusual for most real estate agencies to not have two offices in the same town unless it's, Providence or something like that.
Well, what your answer or what we were talking about then was the idea of it being a storefront sort of jumped out at me because it sort of harkens back to a different time in real estate. Earlier this afternoon, I was talking to another agent about business and activity, and the idea of walk-ins and people stopping in has changed with a lot of other things in real estate. But that sense of your office being more immediate, more likely that somebody's going to come by, look in the window, and maybe even come in and talk to you guys. Do you find that happening?
We do. We do have quite a few walk-ins, not so many in the winter, but in the spring, summer, and fall, of course. We have a great marquee in our windows. We have all of our listings listed in the windows. And it's so funny. People will go over and get their ice cream from St. Clair's, and they'll come over and they'll stand in front of the windows and they'll tap on the listings. You can hear them tapping on the listings. And then we just wait and they finish their ice cream and then they come in and ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's, and again, for somebody from another part of the state or, well, anybody in Rhode Island, once they got over the fact that we're not in Connecticut, would be familiar with the map because we're sort of down on the bottom of Rhode Island, but all coastline, right, way up to North Kingston. And that sense of I hesitate to say beach community for some reason, because while everything is beach, there's that summer second home feel to the way I've always looked at the market down along here, and that kind of business is maybe not so much different, but I know that we draw here in Westerly from Connecticut, New York, New Jersey. Just in our office, I would imagine you see that kind of demographic.
We're the same. I always found, I'm sure you did throughout the years, that folks coming from Massachusetts or whatever, they have a tendency to go to the Cape for the second home. So it's just easier access for them. We're starting to see a few more coming from Boston, but it's mostly Connecticut, New York, especially Hartford area. So predominantly about the same from what you're seeing.
Yeah. And you had hit on the point, and I had a whole question written about that. The idea of the seasons changing. Back in the day, I remember Labor Day, things, if they didn't physically shut down, you could see. I mean, you still see the difference in the number of people here, summer versus winter. But I know from my own business, the activity levels just doesn't do the drop off it used to do.
No, it doesn't. The shoulder seasons are really, picking up, June, September, October. The Ocean House has really helped Watch Hill quite a bit because when it was closed, it would be so desolate in Watch Hill in the winter. If one car drove by, we'd get up to the window to see who it was. Now we're seeing more activity. So it's really helped the activity in the village and also the stores. Some of the stores are staying open later. They're staying open through October. They've been doing the past couple of years. They've been doing a Thanksgiving stroll and having some of the stores open. They don't have any heat, so they've got their little electric heaters with them, during that time. But that's why they close down in the winter.
And why they stroll as much.
Why they stroll. They're actually running.
I know that they do a stroll like that in Newport as well. And, the vendors the store owners have hot cider and cocoa and stuff like that for people.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. And, what you said about the Ocean House bringing, the businesses only stay open if they get business.
Right.
Otherwise, there would be no reason for them. So not only does the Ocean House bring in more people to the area, because they have the rooms and all that stuff, but it affects the local businesses, including us.
Oh, it absolutely does.
People start to love Watch Hill or Westerly, and they decide to buy a home here, even if it's a second home. It helps us a lot.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, funny you should say Newport, because thinking about it coming here today was the idea that in terms of profile awareness, if every number of people who know Newport, Rhode Island, of it, Watch Hill seems to be a close second to that. If you're talking the rest of the world, as opposed, we've got all the other beaches and quite nice beaches.
Well, we have had some famous people who put Watch Hill on the map too.
We have some famous people, and we have one famous person right up around the corner from us, and a lot of some young adults do come in and ask where that specific house is. So that's been very interesting.
But having that higher profile for summer home, I guess, would be the term I would go to that describes why people would buy there. I mean, it's, that kind of might be the lead into the question about COVID, because Denise and I have been talking over here in Westerly. We saw Shelter Harbor, for some reason, stood out for people coming up from the city in particular and moving in when all of that started into their
Summer homes. Yeah.
Second homes. Did you see that in Watch Hill?
We did. So that was someone in the middle of March. So starting in April, it was almost like summer in Watch Hill. There were so many cars, people walking, people biking, all, out of state, New York, Connecticut, everybody coming to their summer houses to have a safe haven.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And the caretakers were busy opening them up and getting them all ready. And we saw the same exact thing.
What I want to know is how, I know you do a summer rental business there, is just like we do. Has that decreased? Have these people stayed now and not decided to rent their homes? Are they moving in permanently? Because we've seen some of that here in the Mesquamaket and the Cove Road area, where people have said, you know what, we're just staying here now. Why should we go back to the city where we're kind of trapped and we love it here, and why don't we just stay here?
Right. I mean, I think some people have gone back to the city, but a lot of the owners that have second homes in Watch Hill, they have a third home somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's not just the first and second home; they have a third home to go to, or maybe even more.
Right.
So the rentals. Of course, we very low inventory on the rentals.
Yeah.
But our rentals have increased from last year almost 18%. For the summer rentals for this year.
The people coming.
The people coming, which is a big increase from last year. So we are seeing some people going back, but there's still we haven't really lost any rentals this year. So there's still pretty much what we had last year. So people are either going back to their first home or going to their third home.
Well, and I think in some of the parts of that segment, I've sold houses to people who buy the second home with the idea of retiring at some future date. And I got a feeling that the pandemic moved that future up for people to where they had thought, okay, let's not wait till we retire. Let's move in now and make a principal residence.
Right. And I think COVID did push a few people at that age to retire early too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, my sister and her husband were planning on retiring and traveling, and they didn't retire because where were they going to go? So they actually just retired. This time later. So it did have the other effect, but I think I know of quite a few people who said, I'm done. Why am I doing this?
Right.
What am I waiting for?
Right.
I think we've done some episodes on the that whole surge in business that accompanied the pandemic onset, which personally didn't make a lot of sense because everything shut down and buying activity went off the charts. And I was kind of the opinion, I still am, that the whole thing brought a certain sense of mortality to people, and it got rid of the we can do it later.
Of course,
there's a big degree of, all right, well, let's do this thing now. Let's buy the house, the second home, whatever, which is kind of odd, if not interesting.
Right.
So we have two questions that we're going to ask towards the end, which we are kind of getting there.
Oh my gosh, this is going by fast.
It does go by fast.
I know.
You think it's not, but it's going to.
I know.
Ask a trick question, all right?
You can. Go ahead. Ask
a trick question.
A trick question.
You can ask it. I may not answer it.
Okay.
Well, I get the feeling you're comfortable with our conversation.
I am.
It's actually not a trick question. It's about, most of this has been predicated on, hey, Mr. Buyer, hey, Mr. Seller, here's the kind of things that you can do to be better sellers, better buyers. And you're in a more rarefied segment, if I may, of that market. But a seller is a seller, buyer is a buyer. Do anything you can share with us about when you have a seller, when you're talking to a seller, and they say, well, what should we do to put our house on the market? Because they do it in Watch Hill as well as anywhere else. Do you find any interesting differences with that conversation you might have?
I think it's pretty much the same conversation that we have. We still do, a market analysis and all of that we go in with. We make recommendations. It is a little different. The higher end, they do have an idea in their head, well, like most sellers do, on what they're looking for. So I guess it's pretty much the same conversation, maybe just a tad different.
Yeah, I think marketing is probably the biggest thing you do differently than we do.
Yeah.
You have a different marketing venue for, houses that are over a certain price point.
Right.
Program that Randall family of companies has for the higher end luxury home marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We have a great marketing program, which is wonderful. And that's definitely what the sellers are looking for.
Right.
It is hard to really get the message out that, online and internet is really the way to go now. We have some of our sellers that really want that Wall Street Journal ad and occasionally we still do it, but that's a one and done. It's not like, you're putting it out there, for the world to see, where they can keep looking
over and over again.
So I think that's probably maybe the hardest thing to explain to some of the sellers. But they eventually do get it. And it's great when we can send them the stats as far as how many people are looking at it and all that. So that is helpful once they get into that program. The banner ads that we do, so they can see how many people are looking at the property. So that's helpful in explaining all of that to them.
Well, and the internet is probably the single most significant change in the business. But we have people in Hopkinton talk in terms of, well, you got to put it out there so everyone in the world can see it and buy it. And, I personally kind of temper that because somebody in New Zealand might not want to move to Hope Valley. However, your market is very definitely that kind of market where the buyers very likely could be on another continent. So that reach seems to be critical to your
I think it is for most of us, but more so for that, yes.
Right.
Dottie, we have to ask you, what is the strangest summer rental thing you can tell us about without giving any?
Well, so I did print. We did save some of the requests from last year. So I did pull a couple of them.
Okay.
They may not be really strange, but I mean, just really, really, some of them are very funny. We need a property that can accommodate up to 24 people. Which is always challenging.
I need a house. Tell them that's a hotel.
It's a hotel. I need a house with all king size beds. I need names for a personal chef to come cook for us.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
We have an 18-pound non-shedding dog, Dusty, 10 years old, completely trained. Is it okay to have Dusty come along?
I, for one, would be saying, "Oh, totally."
Totally, I know. And then this one is kind of funny. And we are interested in learning more about this property. Is it easy to hop in the water? Is there a lawn attached to the property?
Oh, wow.
So those are some of the funny ones that, I mean, there have been others, but these are some of the ones that we've saved from last year.
Yeah, we should start saving that. That's a good idea because we do get some silly questions.
Some silly, right?
Yeah. I asked, I know somebody who managed the Musquamaket State Beach, and he told us that people will call and ask if the wave machine is running.
Okay.
The wave machine.
Yes, is the wave machine running?
It's the wave machine. Oh my goodness!
Because apparently, when the waves aren't as big, sometimes the machine must not.
Oh, they must be right.
Yeah.
But surely, all of the things on the list of why you should go into the business, these kinds of things are part of it. Because,
they are. Well, they keep us entertained too.
They keep us entertained for sure. Yeah. For sure.
So, Dottie, if you could change your profession from real estate, what would it be that you want to do?
I thought about that long and hard, and I probably would not change anything that I've done or change. I just really can't think of anything else that I would rather be doing right now.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
nice. That's terrific.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. This
And
was fun.
I'm glad. Yeah, and it wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be.
I didn't think it was going to be bad. I just didn't know what to expect. So
And
Clark
you were
behaved,
nervous. Yeah.
Clark behaved himself.
Yes, he did. I'm kicking him down.
You don't
here.
see the kicking going on. Down
All right.
Yeah, all right.
Well, more than
Well-
happy to do this anytime, and you two do a great job. So I wish you success with this, and if I can help in any other way, and come on in a few more weeks or whatever, just let me know.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Dottie.
All right. Bye-bye,
Bye-bye.
Dottie.
Where do we click here?
Yeah. So please, if you've enjoyed the show, we will be here next Tuesday night
Try
at
the veal.
5:30. And check us out on YouTube to see our past videos. Check us out on Facebook. All of our videos are also there. Instagram, where we do Where in South County Are You? Are we? Sorry, I always mess that up. And we're going to say goodnight for tonight, right?
We could.
Yeah,
All
I think so.
you click now. Watch for the pause though.
No, there's no pause when we say goodnight.
Yeah. You're
I don't
right.
think so.
Okay. Let's
Good
say
night. Thanks.
See you later.